I don't know. Simply, this is the truth. I don't know because I don't really rate Jake Paul. I don't. But I have to rate his commitment because he's committed to these things. And he's well been trained by a couple of guys I know. Jalen Love, former super middleweight WBC Intercontinental Champion. He trains him. And also Shane Mosley. A free weight world champion. Shane Mosley trains him as well, works in there. So he's clever to the fact that I'm going to surround myself with greatness, or I'm going to surround myself with great guys who know what they're doing. So it's not a foregone conclusion because I've got to say, like, Mike, you are an old man, right? That's all I'm saying. Mike, you're an old man. If it was Mike 10 years ago, it's 10 years ago, right? He'd be 48. He destroyed Jake Paul, right? Destroyed. Seriously hurt him. But at this age now, and because Jake Paul's been continuous, sometimes you got to take away your sentimental emotions and say, like, you know what, realistically, you're still an old man trying to do something, even though it's like gimmick boxing, but it's not gimmicks when you're getting hit. But really and truly, if Mike claps him, he's gone. I don't care what anyone's saying. But it's whether Mike can clap him, and I think Mike could clap him and should be able to clap him, but I'm also taking into consideration that you are 60 years old.
There's a saying that you don't play boxing.
No,
and
you
there's
don't.
and there's a lot of YouTubers out there and misfits. These influencers are getting into boxing nowadays. You got like Soul Puppy, them sort of boys. Like, what do you think of that whole thing? Do you think it?
There's a slight resemblance between you and Puppy, right? You know that. There's a better looking version. There's a slight resemblance. Come on. Right, no. There is a slight resemblance, bro. I said, yeah, you know what I mean? What about him? You know what?
Is it good for boxing, or is it demeaning? Like, you know?
No, it's not. It's not demeaning. I tell you when it was demeaning. It was demeaning when Jake Paul was calling out Canelo, and I want to fight Canelo, I beat Canelo, and blah 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 blah, and everything else. But what I realized is through guys like KSI, who I've got to give massive props to, because it was KSI and Logan Paul that brought this whole thing to the forefront. Yeah, that made it so big. I rate the fact that they are committed to this thing now, because the majority of guys have got professional boxing trainers. You know what I mean? I know Daly Ojaderi, who's a really good up-and-coming coach. I used to manage him years ago. And but he's one of these coaches. I know he's making more money training these guys than he does from professional boxing. Right? Because that's how much money is in this influencer boxing. Because people come out, fans come out. So do I think I don't think it's a bad thing, because it's still putting spotlights on what the real thing is. And now with the influx of, because that's not real boxing. Call it what it is. It's influencer boxing, right? I don't want to be too demeaning, but it's joke boxing, right? Then you're seeing with the magnificent, and I have to call it as it is, His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, right? Yeah. What he's done, he's pumped the cash into the game now, right? So fighters are saying, right, I've really got something to fight for. Like before, I want titles, I want this and that. And we're seeing certain guys who are world champions still living in council flats, right? So you think, and that's no disrespect to anyone living in council flats before anyway. So I came off of a council estate. I'm proud where I've come from, right? So when you're seeing that, now there's money in it. There's a new drive. There's a new hype behind it. There's new people. It's being risen.
Fights are being made.
Yeah, the most important thing is fights are being made. And it's like certain fights that I think about. I swear to God that Turki Al-Sheikh's bugged my house, and I think that's got something to do with Spencer Brown of Gold Star Promotions, right? I'm just going to be real, because Spencer Brown was the guy that kind of was the man that linked Tyson Fury to Turki Al-Sheikh, and then for the back of that, all of this whole thing was made out in Saudi Arabia, because you got to think, their private investment fund that they've got, yeah, they've got something like $500 billion, right, for sport and entertainment. $500 billion,
big,
right? So when you see that, that can only be a good thing simply because it's bringing eyeballs to the sport. It's not bringing eyeballs to the sport in Saudi Arabia, like in spectators, right? But globally, it's bringing eyeballs. Globally, and look at this, they're doing a Terence Crawford fight next month. They're doing the fights over here as well with the Joshua versus Dubois. That's what you originally asked me for, but we just went off on to I just go off on tangents. Don't worry about me. I bring it round. Right?
We're
So
back.
because we're seeing all of those things happen, you got to say massive props because apart from being a boxing historian, I actually love the intricacies of boxing, right? But I like it at the standpoint where it's being respectful that we're getting gladiator versus gladiator. So we're going back to the 50s, we're going back to the 40s. You know what I mean? We're going back to the great times of you know what I mean, someone like Ezzard Charles, who's one of my favorite fighters. You know what I mean, former light heavyweight, but former heavyweight champion of the world. You know, when we're going back to those times there, we have nothing more to say. Like we're grateful. We're going back to those times of like a Joe Lewis. We're going back to the times of when Ali fought everybody, even when he wasn't champion. Right now, it's happening, and it didn't matter if you took an L. Why? Because we could bring you back. And Turkey Al Sheikh's been true to his word. Look at that. Zhang went out there, and Zhang went out there, lost to Hergovic. But Zhang's still a name. Zhang made himself back, came back, knocked out Joel Joyce twice. Then Zhang gets a big fight with Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Deontay Wilder gets a fight against Josie Parker and gets outpointed, soundly outpointed by Josie Parker. But you know, like he was trying, he's still a name. You know what? We're gonna bring you back. And when they do, they brought him back for the 5v5. He gets knocked out by Zhang, right? But this is boxing. You know what I mean? And it's simple analogy. Because A can beat B, B can beat C, but A can't beat C. This is how it goes. This is boxing. So for those things, I'm amazingly grateful to be around at this time now. And the plethora of money that's been brought into the game now, it's going to help young guys that I affiliate with or young guys who are trying to come through. And because of that, I mean, I get a lot of speaking engagements to speak on boxing now because of everything that's happening. So I'm grateful, man.
Brilliant. It's brilliant. What do you think's happening to British boxing though? Like, can we still fill out Wembley Stadium? Like, are we still going to get them nights?
Wait. See, can we still fill up? Just remember, September 21st. If you guys haven't bought your ticket or tried to buy your ticket, because they're very difficult to get hold of your ticket, September 21st, you have the IBF World Heavyweight Championship with Anthony Joshua fighting the now champion in Daniel Dubois. That's going to be a great night of boxing because if you look on the undercard, it's a great night of boxing.
Before we move on to the undercard, tell me, how does this fight play out?
I like Daniel Dubois a lot. You know what I mean? I got a lot of time for Daniel Dubois' trainer, Don Charles. And I'm so happy for Don Charles for him getting the opportunity to look after his family, right? And these are Don's words, not my words, but Don will tell people, oh, well, Spencer kind of instigated Daniel coming to me. I didn't. I played a part in it. I won't say how big my role was or whatever, but I know, like, when I speak boxing, especially to people on my own community, it carries a lot of weight. So if I say, well, maybe you need to work with this guy here, people are going to listen to me because, right, it's coming from me and they know that I fanatically studied this sport. How the fight pans out, in the beginning, I was very critical of Ben Davison. Thinking like, you know, these little young whippersnappers, blah, you know what I mean? But I see the synergy. I've been in the gym. I've been fortunate enough to be in the gym with Andy Joshua. And I see the synergy that they got. And not only that, but I have to give credit to the fact that with Anthony Joshua, he's profoundly professional. Seriously. It was an honor for me to be in the gym and to see him train, right? Just to know like you are profoundly professional. And I've been fortunate enough as a young kid, right? Going over to Catskills Mountains, watching Lennox Lewis train when he's preparing to fight David Tua. To watch, that was in 2000. To watch Andy Joshua train, it was like they're very, very meticulous to detail. And because of that, Don Charles is a good trainer, and I'm glad that he's getting the accolades right now. But they're working at a higher octane level, right? But this is boxing; anything can happen. But because they're working at such a high level, and I see many flaws in Daniel Dubois. The major flaw that has been corrected was more of like when people's questioning his heart, because everyone say, I ain't got no heart, he ain't got no ticker. And I think he's proved that in his last 2 fights. The Big Baby Miller fight, and then and also in the Hergovich fight, he proved that he actually has got ball, right? But maybe those guys didn't hit hard enough to take away his ball, right? And you cannot be being hit flush with heavy right hands from Hergovich, thinking that you're going to get hit by those same right hands from Anthony Joshua, thinking that it's not going to have a telling effect. It's going to have a telling effect. And we saw, I don't care when people say, oh, well, he's only Ngannou. We're getting, he knocked at Ngannou and he that's not a great win. Well, hello, did you not see what a hard fight that Ngannou gave to Tyson Fury? Right? Exactly. So therefore, I got Anthony Joshua winning this fight. Right? And I think knocking out Daniel Dubois in about 4 to 5 rounds. That's how I see it. But you know what? If I'm wrong, I'll hold my hands up to say I'm wrong. But I'm saying of what I'm seeing, I know it's about camps. And the camp that Anthony Joshua has, in my mind, is more superior to the camp that Don Charles has got, simply because they've got a finer, polished athlete in Anthony Joshua, and all they got to do is put in instructions. With Daniel Dubois, they've got to strip back the errors and mistakes inside of him and then try to rebuild on it. And I don't think it's enough time, right? Because I think by the time the fight comes around, they've been working for a year. I don't believe that's enough time. When you get a new trainer, usually it takes about 5 fights. So this is going to be his 4th fight with Don Charles. Maybe it's a fight too early, but I could be wrong. And if I am wrong, I'm wrong. But I just believe that that's why I got Anthony Joshua coming out successful.
Don't you think that, like, because the way I sort of look at this is, yes, I feel that Anthony Joshua's got a lot of experience. He's been in some massive fights with the Klitschko's and, some really, really big fights, but he's starting to get a little bit older. Now, I know he's not old, but he's older than where Dubois is like this young, hungry lion. He's just got the IBF converted into the main full championship, and it's time to prove himself. He's coming off 2 wins, his confidence is up there, and he wants that fight. Do you not think, do you think that the experience will outbeat that?
Do I think the experience of Anthony Joshua will surpass the youth and vigor of? Yes, I do, and I'm going to tell you why. It's going to, my opinion, right? Because people will play this back and say, "Look, what Spencer said, he's a dickhead. He's all wrong," right? But I'm just trying to say to you, the reason why I believe that the experience, because the thing with experience is that you can't fake experience. You can't buy experience. You have to experience to have it. That's the crazy thing about experience. You have to experience it to have the experience. And with Anthony Joshua, just his whole jump off right now, where he is mentally, I know certain things that he's doing off camera, I could tell you, but I ain't going to tell you on camera. Certain things that he's doing, I just believe that he's in a different mental capacity right now. And the thing is this, Daniel Dubois is very fast. I ain't gonna lie to you. And Daniel Dubois is most probably going to be coming towards Anthony Joshua. He's not going to fight on the back foot because he doesn't fight on the back foot. So when he comes forward, that's the worst thing ever. Just ask the former 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, George Foreman. George Foreman said, you never follow a puncher. And whereas Daniel Dubois can hit, if you look on Daniel Dubois' highlight reels, show me one concussive knockout that he's scored where he's hit a guy and he's just knocked a guy into oblivion. You don't. He's a heavy-handed guy. But guys who spar with him say that he punches way harder than Anthony Joshua. But that's in sparring, right? He bangs. But maybe it's like under the lights and everything else. Maybe something gets taken away from him. But because of that, I see experience is a massive factor in this. And I mean, when I mean a massive factor, I see Don Charles was saying this fight's going to be spiritual. And if I go to anyone and say, well, then tell me what is spirituality, and I bet you everyone was like, they will struggle to tell you what spirituality is. So when I look at the camps and how they've interwoven with each other, I think this fight's a little bit too early for Daniel Dubois. I think Daniel Dubois is the next generation. He's 26 years old. He's the next generation. I think he's this generation, right? That's my. I could be wrong, but I think I see Andy Joshua winning by hellacious knockout.
Wow. What do you think of Carl Froch getting involved in this? He just started. I don't know if it's called trolling, but he's just got involved and going.
It is called trolling.
That's
exactly what it is.
So
it's controlled trolling.
Do you think it's a way just to get into the conversation?
Whatever Carl Froch is doing, it's working, right? Because Carl Froch is he's clever. Can't turn around and say he's not clever. Carl Froch is clever. You know what? To be real, I think Carl Froch has watched in boxing. There's a lot of trolls, right? And I think Carl Froch has reached the time of his life where he's thinking, I've never really cared what people thought about me. Yeah, but sometimes when people say, I don't really care what people think about me, they actually do care. All right, I'm just gonna be real with you. But I think with Carl, he's more of a. I think he's carrying feelings. I know he's carrying feelings. Carl Froch got inducted into the Hall of Fame recently in America, right? In his speech, he says that he looked at Robert McCracken as a father-like figure, right? Because if you know the story, Carl Froch passed away and all the rest of it. But he looked at Robert McCracken as a father-like figure. And also, Robert McCracken had a different respect for Carl Froch, right? Carl Froch was his first world champion. So he had him with some different respect, some different love and admiration that he had for him. Now, Anthony Joshua's come along, right? Not fundamentally been in the gym, like hasn't gone through the course of how many of us have gone through. Like we grew up loving boxing from a really young age, buying the Ring magazine, the boxing news every Friday, watching it, reading that, watching, having the boxer collection on videotapes. There's a boxer collection, it's called a boxer, and you'd buy that every Friday that would come out. You'd buy a new one every 2 weeks that would come out. Anthony Joshua ain't done none of that. Anthony Joshua just walked into the gymnasium because he saw his cousin Benga doing it, who, I have to shout out to Benga, former ABA champion as well, seeing Benga do it and said, wow, I want to go do that. And he went in and done it. He said, wow, I've got a knack for this. But Anthony Joshua is naturally athletic. Anthony Joshua could have done anything. Anthony Joshua could play football, he'd blow it up. Anthony Joshua could play basketball. And I remember they did, this is years ago, it must be about a decade ago, when he just won the Olympic gold medal. They had this superstar challenge where they had different athletes from all doing a different kind of multiple different sporting events, and Anthony Joshua creamed everybody without even trying, right? So that's the type of person that Anthony Joshua is. So when you look at that, Carl Froch is thinking, well, I'm the person that's done this the real way or the authentic way. Things are changing now, right? You know what I mean? And what was it? Howard Wilson, our former Prime Minister, said, he who rejects change is the architect of decay, for the only human institution that rejects progress is the cemetery. So we have to constantly keep on evolving as we are as human beings. I think that boxing has evolved, right? And I think Carl Froch was aggrieved on how Robert McCracken was handled. That's all. Because he was working for 1 minute and then Angel Fernandez kind of slipped in, who worked with Joshua for a little bit. And it is. And no one can't tell me that. Like, when you do these little slip-ins, you slip into these kind of positions, you want to be the number one guy. Nobody's not coming into like, Sean, we're both training a fighter, and you can come in. I'm the key guy. You're telling me you don't want a key guy job? You want a key guy job because the key guy job is a job that pays you the real money. The key guy job is where you get the most adulation, the most pats on the back. It's very rare that you get guys who are comfortable in their own skin. That's why Muhammad Ali was so great. Because Muhammad Ali had Angel Randy as his trainer, right? But then he had other guys around him. Lloyd Wells, he had Bundini Brown. But all of those guys knew, I'm going to play my position. I'm going to play my position because you know what? I'm not Angel Randy, but listen, you can't mention Muhammad Ali's name without mentioning Bundini Brown. Bundini Brown was incremental in Ali's success, right? Even to the persona of a Muhammad Ali, he was incremental in that. You young kids go Google who Bundini Brown was. He's the guy that taught Muhammad Ali how to be hip and street, right? So, but Carl Froch, I get it why he feels that way. Because if I sit down and think about it, I'm not talking people's business, but Robert McCracken has earned more money training Anthony Joshua than what Carl Froch earned in his career. And Carl Froch is a 3-time world champion. Work that one out. Carl Froch is the one that sold at 80,000 in Wembley versus him and George Groves a decade ago, right? So all of those kind of things is like, you can be riled by it. It's human nature to be riled by these things. But what I didn't like is like, if you DM me and we're going back and forth, that's not public. You know what I mean? That's not public because it's called a direct message.
Yeah.
So if I send a direct, I'm not directly sending it to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
I'm directly sending it to you, Sean. So on those kind of things, I didn't like that. But Carl Froch is very clever because he knows I can do this kind of thing. It's going to keep me relevant. And I can also play the lines because a lot of people ain't too sure about Anthony Joshua anymore. A lot of people are like, ooh, this Anthony Joshua, and a lot of people turned on Anthony Joshua. A lot of people turned on him when he was at the Black Lives Matter march, right? A lot of people turned on him. You can't say he never because you did, right? And he didn't even say anything wrong, right? So, like I said, on many things, that
What happens at ringside? Carl Froch is there, and Anthony Joshua's looking across to him and saying, well, "You've been talking about me."
No, nothing is going to happen at all. Do you know why? Because this is why I rate Anthony Joshua. Because Anthony Joshua has sacrificed himself on the public platform by not being rolled, not being the street thug, not being NLZ, being corporate Anthony Joshua. And it's paid for him, right? He hasn't Uncle Tom, he hasn't cooned it, but he's played it safe, right? Not being over opinionated, not being, you get what I'm trying to say? He's done that. How can I knock a man for that? Anthony Joshua literally says he's worth 200 million. So I can't knock you for that. Not only that, but he's he's making really, really smart investments right now, right? I can't say nothing to him. And I also got props what he's doing. He started off this ACE thing, African Caribbean Exchange. Him, Michael Jarman, and what's it? Kane Kawasaki. They started this thing to push unity within the African diaspora. I've got to rate you for that because I used to be like, and you're doing what you doing, bro? You should be, and like, no. So therefore, if he saw Carl Froch ringside, Anthony Joshua knows, look, Anthony Joshua, bro. You know what I mean? I am Anthony Joshua, right? And that's the truth. But one thing I do know about Carl Froch, he's comfortable within his own skin. He likes when people talk shit about him. It doesn't bother him. But we'll see.
So being that we're on the heavyweight scene and we're talking all about that, was it a shock to you when Usyk beat Tyson Fury earlier this year?
Not at all. Because Usyk is very good. It wasn't a shock, but I still picked Tyson Fury to win, right? Simply because Tyson Fury can do genius stuff in that boxing ring. I've witnessed it. I've seen it. He does genius stuff. But if you understand what you're watching, if you can understand what you're watching, then you know that was freaking clever on what Tyson Fury did. But Usyk is a different breed. Totally different breed. Very highly skilled. Like incredibly highly skilled. Knows how to, and like he's like, you know what Usyk's like? Usyk is like Chinese water torture. You know, like little drops of water. And it just catches up with you till it drives you insane. And that's what he did. You can see from the first round, from his southpaw position, he stood with Tyson Fury. He's throwing left hand straight down to his body. He's trying to jab to Tyson's body. from the first round. And what he was doing, he was deliberately doing that. That's to lower Tyson Fury's guard. And he lowered his guard. He had to wait till round 8 and 9 before he could let off a big shot. And he let off that big overhand left on Tyson Fury that had.
Yeah, it looked like it broke his nose or something.
Yeah,
The way it
exactly.
just went and hit him, and Tyson wasn't the same after that.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, wobbled up with her. So because of that, Usyk is just another level. You know what I mean? He is. So that I wasn't shocked that Usyk won the fight. What I am shocked about is that he could hurt Tyson Fury in the way that he did. Because prior to the fight, me and like Tony Bombabellu, we speak regularly. Tony's my guy. Big shout out to Tony. Lovely, lovely man. Right? And I said, Tony, how do you see this? I'm telling you, Spence, he's gonna do Tyson. He said the guy mentally drains you when you fight him. I remember Tony Bellew put up a very, very gallant performance against him before getting knocked out.
Yeah.
He said the guy makes you fight his fight, and you're always wary in there, and he mentally zaps you. And so said, so done. Come fight time, what happened? You know what I mean? He got to Tyson Fury. And that's Tyson Fury. But then also, then when I'm looking at it, I'm saying, you know what? Those 3 fights that Tyson Fury had with Deontay Wilder had to have had some effect on you. Right? Similar to when Muhammad Ali fought Joe Frazier 3 times. Those fights took an effect on you. Right? It did. It took an effect on both men. More so Ali, but it took an effect on you. Those 3 fights, the third fight was one of the best fights I've ever seen in the heavyweight division. You know, God's got to be real. Right? But the first fight, when Tyson Fury gets knocked down, he's down on the ground, he just rises up like he's Lazarus. Like, you're thinking to yourself, like...
He done the Undertaker.
Yeah, he did. You're thinking to yourself, what am I actually watching here?
Yeah.
Right? But I think those fights have taken a toll on Tyson Fury. And Usyk took advantage of the fact that those fights have taken the toll because he's technically sound and he's a very, very confident man. And he came out victorious.
The way I've sort of also looked at it is Usyk seems like a man of discipline. It looks like he lives that life in and out of the ring. He's always training hard. He's went to the army. He doesn't look like, he's abusing his body. Where I feel when Tyson's out of camp, he doesn't sometimes live that lifestyle. What you see in the media.
Listen. People are talking about the recent video. That's what you're talking about. Where you see him drunk out of the when he's drunk on the street. Yeah,
that's one of them. But sometimes you do see him out of shape as well. He does balloon up a little bit.
Yeah, but
it's not like
Tyson Fury. If you look at Tyson Fury has never had a body beautiful. He's never been, oh my goodness gracious, look at Tyson and all right. And remember, it's the nature that people seem to forget. Like, and I know you love your boxing, so you say Terence Crawford's one of the best fighters in the world, right?
Yeah.
You're like, he's fantastic, right? Top 3, easily, right? Tyson Fury, when he was in his hiatus, right? Or when he's saying the drinking, the drugs, and like the manic depression and being bipolar and everything else, and he decided to make a comeback. When Tyson Fury decided to make his comeback, he lost Terence Crawford in body weight. Let that sink in. He lost Terence Crawford in body weight to come back and fight. And then he fought 2 men that you wouldn't even hire for sparring. And then he fights Deontay Wilder, and he beat Deontay Wilder, but they called it a draw. All the credit in the world should be given to Tyson Fury. I think what people need to recognize, right, and forget about the amount of money that Tyson's got and all the rest of it. I think things are about championing life, right? And if Tyson Fury just to stop for a second and just say, you know what, I came back from when I was on the brink and I became world heavyweight champion and lineal heavyweight champion, right? Then you got to give yourself a pat on the back and say, don't be so hard on yourself. So when you say you seem out of shape or you seem drunk, I don't smoke, I don't drink. And that's not only because of religious purposes, but I just don't, right? And Tyson Fury is allowed, I would say, to let his hair down. What little he has left, right? I would say that Tyson Fury we shouldn't be looking at Tyson. Oh my goodness gracious, he was out and he was drunk and blah blah. I'm just looking at that and I'm saying that is European culture.
Mm.
Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not. That's European culture. So
But-
what?
As a fan, though, like Tyson Fury has been my favorite. I used to watch him on Channel 5, you know, when he back in the days. Yeah, them times, like, you know, when I'm seeing